Glad you could join us today on Rainfall. Welcome to the program. I'm Ayola Kasim. Behind every weather forecast, every early warning of life-threatening hazards, and every long-term climate change projection are observational data. A few years ago, the World Bank and the World Meteorological Organization estimated that this data will deliver additional socio-economic benefits worth more than $5 billion a year. And that is a conservative estimate, which does not include the huge non-monetary benefits, such as potential lives saved and improvement to well-being, particularly for developing countries. There are severe gaps in the basic weather and climate observing systems here in the country. Today, we'll start from Argungu town in Kebbi State, where weather predictions have been showing continuous shorter rainfall pattern over the years and the impact this has on the economy of the area. Do stay with us. People along the Matan Fada in northwest Nigeria remember the river's abundance as being typified by fish literally falling from the trees. But those days are gone. The waterway, which was home to a UNESCO-listed fishing festival, is disappearing as rainfall plunges and temperatures rise as part of the impact of climate change. 42-year-old Hussein, a fishing community leader in the riverside town of Argungu, said he had not seen migratory birds such as pelicans and a water duck species locally called dumulmulu in a while.
When I was a child, there were wild birds and wild animals which used to come to drink water as well as other fish species which have almost gone extinct.
Sat on the edge of the Sahel, a semi-arid belt stretching along the Sahara Desert's southern rim, Argungu in Kebbi State is vulnerable to climate change.
We are looking at climate change affecting biodiversity, and the biodiversity affecting which are the prey of the fish. And the fish, because they are also prey to the birds, they are no longer available. The birds don't come around, and you find out that the birds don't now have their feces in the water to be able to help to provide nutrients to such environment, and then the environment is deprived of its nutrients.
For decades, Argungu held an international fishing festival, which included competitions in hand fishing and wild duck catching. Legends abound about life on the river. Crocodiles don't come out of the water on Fridays, and 50 years ago, all you had to do was bend down and pick up fish from the river. But rising temperatures and excessive evaporation are contributing to the shrinking water bodies. Rainfall patterns have changed greatly, with rains coming later and falling for short periods and in small liters compared to previous years. As a child, Safiya, who is now 61, said she liked to wake up early in the morning when migratory birds were nesting in the region.
When they are trying to put the fish to their children, you know the fish is alive. So the fish will be trying to save its life. It will fall down. When it will fall down, we as a children, we will run, come and take.
Birds like wild water ducks will come, make nests and breed on the trees to feed their young. At dawn, they would go to the river to catch live fish in their breeds and feed their chicks.
Kebbi State is seeing its landscape gradually transformed by climate change and human activity, including tree cutting for firewood in a state with one of the highest fertility rates in the country. The Savannah region has lost its date and shade trees. Neem and mango trees and a few baobabs remain. Marshes and water holes have dried up or been drained by farmers to grow crops. Climate activists have long pointed out that Africa pays one of the highest prices for climate change, while the continent is responsible for just a fraction of global greenhouse gas emissions. In West Africa, average temperatures have risen by between 1 and 3 degrees Celsius since the mid-1970s, with the biggest increases recorded in the Sahara and Sahel. With a temperature rise of 2 degrees Celsius, more than a third of freshwater fish species are projected to be vulnerable to extinction by 2100, rising to 56.4% with a 4 degrees Celsius rise in temperature, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has said. The Emir of Argungu said he is worried by the disappearance of lakes and the loss of farmlands due to desertification. To conserve the fish, he has imposed restrictions on fishing.
But the lakes are gone. Most of them are gone. They're not what they used to be. After every flooding season, yes, water collects in the lakes. But visit the lake in 2 months after the flood water has receded, you find the entire water has been pumped out and people have planted rice. So my fears are if we continue to do this, life as we know it will cease to exist in this part of the country, or people will be forced to migrate from certain locations because there isn't enough to support life.
Although fewer in number, fish still exist in Argungu, but the river has shrunk. It is said that some species had disappeared altogether. Fishing for kumba, a shell women crushed to make black coal powder used as eyeliner, has all but ceased. For farmers lucky enough to cultivate land near the river, they say irrigation is easy and harvests are good mainly thanks to fertilizers and pesticides. For those further away, yields are lower.
The difference is huge. In this field, we would harvest more than 100 bags of millet, but now we hardly get 60.
The IPCC estimates that climate change has reduced agricultural productivity in Africa by almost 34% since the 1960s, greater than any other region. The United Nations predicts that more than 33 million of Nigeria's 220 million inhabitants will face severe food insecurity in years to come. The exponential growth in Kebbi's population adds to the crisis in an area that also faces regular attacks by criminal gangs and jihadists. In its 2024 State of the Climate, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency says over some parts of northern states in the country, there are observations of more than 70 to 90 days of above 40 degrees Celsius temperature recorded. This, it says, further emphasizes the reality of changing climate. It also states the socio-economic impact of the extreme weather event in 2024 is enormous. The weather data collected every day can make a range of new benefits if it is not only made open but interpreted in the right way. However, for the most part, it is not being utilized to its full potential due to a lack of awareness around the exciting possibilities it presents.
It's well established in the SOLAS Convention. That's a convention that is within the IMO, International Maritime Organization. That meteorological data is very key to safety of life and property. You can imagine, even in the coastal region, we have farmers. We have people that make a living in the coastal region. So imagine what flood would do to them when disasters strike. And it affects the national economy. It comes back to national economy. So understanding of climate change will help even the government in addressing policy making. So it's really, really timely.
And the risk assessment is the one by the far right.
To drive home its message, NiMet has brought stakeholders together for an important education on the importance of early warnings in driving early action. The Director General and CEO of the Nigerian Meteorological Agency is quick to say that weather prediction is not just knowing when to have your umbrellas up to protect you from the rains.
For ordinary citizens, it means what you just said. But to economists, to the national economy, all right, climate change is a major source of inflation today. So when it rains and we experience flash flood, you begin to think, what happens to the supply chain? Okay? you begin to see increase in fuel price, in food production, access to the market for farmers, storage problem, and many economic parameters are affected. So it's important that we begin to recognize the impact of climate change and also the role that NiMet plays. So it's really, really important to collaborate with NiMet, okay? Because the work we do is I mean, we serve the entire sectors of the economy. You can imagine over 200 million Nigerians cut across over 945,000 square kilometers. We have our weather stations all over Nigeria. So you can imagine the task of trying to disseminate weather and climate information. So we need partnership.
Enabling adaptation to climate change will obviously require more than simply improving weather forecasting. One obvious reason why these improvements alone will be insufficient is that they do not address the problem of getting information into the hands of those who need it most.
To meet these demands, the capacity development through research and training has become imperative.
Rallying professionals from the private and public sectors, security, academia, oil and gas, health, aviation, agriculture, and the marine sector, the agency reviewed the growing challenges it faces in ensuring its forecasts and climate information reach the wider public in a way that is easily understood and applied.
In collaboration with the Ministry of Health, we are doing malaria vigilance. And what does that entail? The Ministry of Health has told us the climatic condition that favors the multiplication of mosquito that causes the malaria, that causes the malaria parasite. And of course, if there is multiplication of the mosquito that causes malaria, there is likely to be outbreak or increased infestation of people by malaria. So what we do for the health sector is we monitor the environment and tell them when those climatic conditions they gave us that are favorable for reproduction of mosquito that causes malaria, we tell them in this month, so and so state, so and so area, these conditions will be available and favorable, like you said. And so take precaution, be vigilant. It's not a model that simulates where malaria is likely to happen.
The National Meteorological and Hydrological Services play a significant role in advancing the collection and analysis of hydrological and meteorological observations, the modeling of hydrological and meteorological phenomena, the dissemination of forecasts, warnings, and as an authoritative advice about extreme events, and in improving institutional capabilities to make the best use of this science and technology. Collectively, these are referred to as the hydrometeorological enterprise. NiMet showcased the scenarios where the data collection are useful.
Towards ending of May, there is heavy rainfall at Mokwa that caused a serious flooding in Mokwa, of which he cleared a community. So what it means is that that particular community was built along the water channel, but not knowing that it's along the water channel until when this heavy rainfall. That's why we're saying that you need this information for you to know. Also in NiMet also, we have a product that we call PMP, probable maximum precipitation, that will tell you how many numbers of high rainfall you are going to get during the rainy month. Like for example, during the June, how many numbers of high rain amount you are going to get, how many numbers. By the time you know all those things, you use it to plan. Because what happened in Mokwa, if you look at the picture here, this is after the flood, look at it. It just cleared one community away. So it means that they have settled on top of flood plain. And also the road safety also. If you know the kind of institutional rainfall that can happen in a location, you can use it to advise the motorists that if you are using this particular road, that they're very okay. During this period, this thing can happen. Anytime you see the rainfall, please, either you park or you reduce your speed. You can use this particular product for them also. Now, their particular product, during the starting of a mainland bridge in 1977, they got the information, the contractor there, the company, they got the information from NiMet before they start the project. And the project take a long time. In 1987, also after 10 years, they come for the update of that IDF Ashona. This is the bridge that happened in Maiduguri. This is the bridge that cracked in Maiduguri Street. If you look at it, water just come and push one of the, what do you call it, side of the bridge away.
It has been said that one of the most important assets there are to mitigate the impact of weather and climate extremes in current and future climates is information. It is said that the earlier a drought or a flood can be predicted, the more prepared communities can be, helping them reduce some of their economic and material losses. But most importantly, these communities need to be able to understand the information.
We are showing here that all we need is synergistic leadership, collaboration, and partnership. That's it, to get it to the bottom line. The last mile, the farmers, the ordinary Nigerians, those communities in our villages, we have the products. It's just to collaborate, to get it down to them, so that they can respond adequately to.
Product free?
Yes, mostly, because we do provide seasonal climate prediction early on in the year. I'm sure you've heard of them talking about seasonal climate prediction that gives an outlook of rainfall, temperature, and also the implication to national economy. That is out in the public domain. That information is out in public domain. But when you are asking for specific data, spanning across a long timeline and parameters, then we have to discuss with you to design that product and services for you.
The World Bank estimates that highly weather-sensitive sectors such as agriculture, energy, transport and construction, and disaster risk management can benefit by over $160 billion per year from potential improvement in weather forecasting capabilities that will be within reach given the current state of scientific knowledge and technology.
The West African region in particular has been amongst the first to voice out the heavy climate burden. You might recall the creation of the Permanent Interstate Committee for the Control of Drought in the Sahel. That was created in 1974 because of the drought conditions in the Sahelian countries, of which, of course, Nigeria, the north of Nigeria, has experienced those episodes of drought. And since then, this burden is still with us, and of late, we are seeing the increase in what we call fast onset events, that is flooding. In addition to drought, we now have flooding and the increase in windstorms, the strength of windstorms. So in my view, the climate burden has increased on West Africa, Central Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa. And that is why there is need for those that provide early warning services to engage more with those who use the services. And I feel that this event is very timely, in fact a bit late, because we should have had more interaction with those who use our products and services. And of course, the user community also should come and look for these products.
The World Meteorological Organization says the ability to predict and prepare for changes in weather and climate allows societies to improve resilience and economic prosperity. From the issuing of early warnings of extreme events to day-to-day forecasts, National Meteorological and Hydrological Services, as providers of weather, climate, and water information and services, can save lives and reduce economic loss and damage in vulnerable sectors.
I guess it can happen if we interact more. Okay, what is needed is greater interaction between all of these communities. Knowing that the climate is sometimes what you had before doesn't mean that that's the high or the most intense event you have. It can go beyond that. Okay, that is why we talk about return events, or return period rather. But again, whatever the case is, if the provider community, that is NiMet, is able to locate the extreme event, identify its intensity, and communicate that to the media, and the media gets that to those who are the stakeholders in that area, then there can be some communication to really reduce the risk of misunderstanding. Okay, because for instance, remember we have moved from the population of this country, and in fact the globe in particular, is increasing. What used to be forested area is now inhabited area. When an area is inhabited, when water comes, it doesn't stay on the ground. It moves out into the street. Okay, everybody has tried to pave, so when water comes, it just goes to the drains or to the road. Okay, and that is why we need to collaborate more so that to understand our environment and know that this is about to happen. What do we do to cope with this? Okay, it needs continuous engagement, interaction.
Many governments underestimate the socio-economic benefits that improved weather, climate, and water services can bring to their societies, which can result in insufficient investments and budget allocations.
For us to see what it takes to generate a forecast, it is not cheap. You can see stations on the ground. Then you have wind profilers, radio sondes, stations at sea, drifting buoys, monitor observing ships, aircrafts, satellites. So this is not cheap. Those who use our products need to know that we want to serve them better, but then it comes at a cost. And this cost we can discuss with you and share it with you so that we serve you better. And of course, as one of the goodwill messages from the aviation sector indicated, when the aircraft enters a turbulent zone, we all resort to prayer. But I can assure you that if you had invested more, then the aircraft could have avoided that zone, because they would have known that this zone, the wind is unsteady, so you have to divert. But because we are not making the necessary investment, we go through those, and everybody's, feels that today might be their last day.
It is well known that climate change will increase the frequency and intensity of damaging weather events. Whether these are acute storms like cyclones or blizzards, or more diffuse weather events like heat waves or heavy precipitation events, it is said that climate change will make them more frequent in much of the world, including places that may not have historically experienced them, and often more severe. There is now a deep literature in economics that shows the negative consequences of these extreme weather events for a variety of economic outcomes.
Early warning systems are not merely technical tools, they are life-saving mechanisms. I know this personally because I have opportunities to go into the communities right there at the very bottom. And they are always asking, when will the rain cease? For how long will it cease? Can we go in and plant now? What do we do? These are questions they ask, and these are answers that NiMet gives us. Early warning systems are not merely technical tools, they are life-saving mechanisms. However, for early warnings to lead to early action, the messages must be accessible, understandable, and usable by decision makers at all levels. So let us use this platform to strengthen our collaboration, build capacity, and align efforts towards reducing vulnerabilities. By integrating NiMet's products and services into our sectoral plans, we not only enhance preparedness, but also support sustainable development.
There is growing evidence that investing in improvements in weather forecasting is a highly cost-effective means of reducing damages from extreme weather. It is said that the tight relationship between climate change and extreme weather implies that these investments are so far also likely to be an important form of climate adaptation. That's our show for today. Do join us next week for your comments and questions. Write to edfile@channelstv.com or reach us on our social media handles. You can also watch this episode or other episodes of the program by going to our YouTube channel. Do click the playlist menu and then click Edfile. From all of us here in Lagos, it's bye for now.